Reacher showrunner breaks down his take on Lee Child's impossible hero. Showrunner Nick Santora, Prison Break, crafted Jack Reacher's small screen debut. Santora has spent decades creatively developing high-octane action shows like Scorpion and Breakout Kings. He will once again marry hard-hitting action with drama in Prime Video's Reacher. Based on Lee Child's Reacher novels, Reacher follows Jack Reacher, Alan Richson, a former Army investigator. Now a drifter, Reacher wanders the world, carrying few possessions. But when Reacher steps off the bus in Margrave, GA, an eyewitness places him at the scene of a murder. Determined to clear his name, Reacher teams up with local police officers Finley, Malcolm Goodwin, and Roscoe, Willa Fitzgerald, to serve some extremely rough justice. In an exclusive interview with CBR, Santora discussed how he approached Jack Reacher's character, the show's brawls, and teased an upcoming Arnold Schwarzenegger project. We know there are Reacher novels and 2 feature films. The movies didn't exactly connect with audiences. There were some grumblings about the content and the casting. How much pressure did you feel going into this to get it right? I didn't feel a ton of pressure going into it. I always feel if I am taking something on, I feel like with the team of people I am putting together that we will get it done. Or at the very least, I always work with hard workers, so we are going to try our hardest to get it done. As for the movies, they live on to themselves. I enjoyed the movies very much. I just feel the TV series is a different entity. We were starting new and fresh, and literally starting from the beginning since it's the first book. I didn't put much pressure on myself. I get a little bit more thoughtful about it towards the end of production when I say, oh man, we are almost done with this. Now we have to edit it and do all the visual effects. Boy, I hope we got everything we needed. That's when you get a little nervous. We have such a talented team. I felt pretty good about it the whole time. It's funny, and it sounds like it isn't important, but it is the minutiae. I tried my hardest to try and get to know Reacher as much as possible. You read the books. I talked with author Lee Child. I talked a lot with Don Granger, who is a producer on the show, who has been Lee's partner in Reacher for decades. He knows Reacher inside and out. I told him, I need to make sure I get the minutiae right. At no point is Jack Reacher going to say, oh, I'd love a little bit more cream and sugar in my coffee, please. Jack Reacher does not put cream and sugar in his coffee. Jack Reacher has to be wearing the right type of shoes. I sent pictures of shoes to Lee Child and links to shoe sites. I asked, what about these boots? He said, those are the boots, so we use those boots. So it's getting those details right. Otherwise, if you don't, then Reacher is just like anybody else, and he's not. He's literally and figuratively a larger-than-life character. You want to get the small things right. It's in the details. Did we get everything right? I hope so. I'm human. People are human. We may have made some mistakes, but I hope not. It was really important to get all the layers of Reacher, especially the intelligence. Don Granger says to Lee all the time, kidding around, thanks, Lee. You've created an impossible character to reproduce on film. We have to find a guy to play the strongest guy in the room, the bravest guy in the room, the smartest guy in the room, and the biggest guy in the room. It's really hard. It was really important to do the intelligence. It was also really important to get the humor. Reacher is incredibly direct, and most people today aren't direct about anything. If a friend makes you lunch and it's terrible, and they ask you how you like the salad, you're going to say it's delicious. Reacher might go, it wasn't that good, because he doesn't want to lie to you. I like you and respect you, and you're my friend, but the salad kinda sucked. Reacher being that direct is funny, so we tried to capture that as well when adapting a beloved literary figure to screen. Creators faced the challenge of capturing what made the character iconic while translating them into a new medium. This is especially true for Lee Child's Jack Reacher, the towering, stoic, and seemingly impossible hero at the center of 28 novels. In Prime Video's Reacher, showrunner Nick Santora has taken on the daunting task of translating the enigmatic hero's larger-than-life persona into an engaging television series. Jack Reacher is no ordinary protagonist. He is described as a nomadic former military police officer with a commanding 6'5" frame, extraordinary fighting skills, and a moral compass as unyielding as his fists. For readers, Reacher's imposing physicality, his Sherlock Holmes-like deductive skills, and his lone wolf mentality make him an archetypal figure, someone almost superhuman in both his abilities and his philosophical distance from the world. For Santora, translating this character into the screen demanded a deep understanding of what made Reacher impossible yet compelling. Staying true to Reacher's physicality and personality from the outset, Santora knew that staying true to Reacher's physicality was essential. In the books, Reacher's size is a fundamental aspect of his identity. His height and strength are almost metaphoric, representing his outsized impact on the world and his ability to stand up against corruption and evil. This became a point of contention during previous adaptations, particularly the Jack Reacher film starring Tom Cruise. While a capable actor, Cruise's smaller stature was criticized by fans of the novels, who felt the movies failed to capture Reacher's intimidating presence. In the Prime Video series, Alan Ritchson was cast to play Reacher, and his physical resemblance to the character, standing at 6'2" with a muscular build, immediately pleased fans. Santora emphasized in interviews that Ritchson's casting was pivotal to the show's success. Reacher is described as a force of nature, and Alan brings that presence, Santora said in a breakdown of the series. His physicality adds a whole new level of believability to the fight scenes and the way Reacher interacts with the world. But Reacher is more than just a brawler. He is also fiercely intelligent, strategic, and observant. Santora recognized that balancing Reacher's intellect and raw strength was key to avoiding a two-dimensional action hero. Reacher isn't just a guy who can throw a punch. He's someone who can outthink his enemies before they even know they're in a game of chess, Santora explained. This duality of Reacher's character, the brute force, combined with an almost machine-like ability to process information, gives him his mythic quality. Santora made sure that both elements were on full display in the series. The challenge of adaptation, one of the biggest challenges for Santora, was adapting a character like Reacher, whose very nature is almost too good to be true. Reacher's impossibility stems from his moral clarity, self-sufficiency, and seemingly invulnerable demeanor. He is a man who lives by his own code, drifting from town to town, leaving justice in his wake but never staying to reap the rewards. As a result, Reacher often feels more like a force of nature than a flawed human being. This could easily alienate viewers who prefer more relatable, vulnerable heroes. To counterbalance Reacher's near invincibility, Santora leaned into the emotional undercurrents of the character. Though Reacher rarely shows outward vulnerability, the showrunner believed it was important to give audiences glimpses of the man behind the stoic facade. "There's a sadness to Reacher," Santora said. "He's cut himself off from the world in many ways. He doesn't have friends or a family. That loneliness seeps into the character, and we wanted to show that without betraying who he is in the books." By highlighting Reacher's isolation and moral burden, Santora aimed to make the character more emotionally accessible to viewers without diluting his essence. In one of the series' more poignant moments, Reacher reflects on the toll that his lifestyle has taken on him. While he may be an unstoppable force in battle, he is still a man who carries the weight of the violence and loss he has witnessed. Striking the right tone, another crucial aspect of Santora's adaptation, was finding the right tone for the series. The books have a distinct rhythm, blending hard-hitting action with methodical detective work. Reacher's investigations often require him to use his sharp intellect to solve intricate puzzles, while his fists are reserved for moments when all else fails.